Alright, hello everybody. I'm just recording a short little video to show you some of the ships in the upcoming Foundation of the Federation mod. So as you'll see here, we've got the Zoltan Fighter, which I've named the Advocate. That's kind of because the main Zoltan cruiser is called the Adjudicator. So sort of continuing with like a legal theme, I guess. You'll see this is laid out as a standard energy fighter, as they're called in the game, with the exception of some added airlocks, because they're kind of necessary to play the game, otherwise you kind of die from a boarding action really quick. You'll also notice a couple of the rooms have been rearranged, not the actual layout, but just the positioning of various systems. And that's because the way the Energy Fighter was laid out was kind of weird. Like the engine was here, I believe. Oh no, that was the door system. It just looked really strange the way it was laid out, kind of thrown together, so I just rearranged it. The Type B is my own layout, and this is just sort of a practical layout. You'll see that I haven't actually done the image choices for the rooms yet, but that's coming. The airlocks and the doors all function properly. You'll see that it's a recolor of the normal sprite, so that's the normal sprite. That's the recolor. Of course, this is based on the coloration of the alternate energy cruiser. Same thing with the bomber, right? You start with the normal bomber, and then there's the recolor. So, again, the bomber, just like the fighter, it's just like the standard enemy configuration, except that you've got airlocks and slightly rearranged rooms. The Type B is a little bit different, but basically more or less plays in a similar fashion. The energy cruiser, of course, is here, but it hasn't been changed. These ships are all going to be unlockable. All the Zoltan ships get unlocked through various Zoltan-related quests. Here you can see some of the other ships that are going to be in the mod. Originally, I was going to go for an all-Federation fleet, but I got a little bit tiresome. So I went back to my original idea of 3 ships from each of the Federation races. Just to show you some of the things that have been done, I've got this like debug menu where I've got different kinds of combat encounters that I've been testing out to make sure they work. We got some Federation quests. These 3 initial quests are pretty much already done. This thing called NG Diplomat quest is basically the first quest that you do. Pretty basic stuff. You know, you get your quest marker, you jump around. I'm not going to actually go and do it because I don't want to ruin it. But, yeah. So I got some Zoltan events. I'm just starting on the Zoltan sector right now after I finished up the ships. I got this monastery event. Basically what I did is I went through the Zoltan event file that exists right now and tried to pick out as much of the lore as possible and design some events around that. So there's one monastery you can encounter in the base game, so I decided why not do a completely monastery related event for the mod. So let's go down and investigate. Ooh, looks like we got stonewalled. So this event has about 3 different outcomes. This is the neutral outcome. It's basically just a waste of your fuel for jumping to this beacon. I'll let you find out what the positive and negative events are when you actually play the mod. But let's just go back for 1 second. For quests, each of these quests have about 7 to 10 events in them. And if you've done any of the XML modding in this game, you'll know that that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because some events can be really short as just sort of part of the flow of things, but they're not too complex, but they each have maybe 4 blue text options, and maybe 1 or 2 jumps involved. That is 1 or 2 quest markers involved in each of the quests. That's sort of what I'm shooting for in terms of the general complexity of quests. I don't think that this kind of a game really suits too complex quests. You could sort of would get too bogged down in details and reading when this game is kind of a light, really fast game. I'm trying to preserve that in the mod. So yeah, that was just a little preview.